All right, what's going on, everyone? It's Nick Atkin here with the One on SK MMA podcast. We are live. I am joined today by Condition Nutrition's Peter Miller, who's just popped into the chat. Let me add him in.
I'm here
Can you
now.
hear me, sir?
Let me just turn on my. Can you hear me? Just turn on my camera.
Can hear you, but cannot see you.
Wait there 1 second.
I jumped the gun. I should have not gone live. I thought you were going to jump in. You were waiting for me to start to jump in.
For some reason, it's not. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We're in.
There
We're
he
in.
is. Show
How
us
we doing?
that beautiful face. There he is.
How we
Condition
doing, mate?
Nutrition. Peter Miller. Yeah, I'm good. Good to see you again.
Yeah, I
Normally
feel
we
like
see each
I've
other
seen
in
I've
the
seen you more than my family the last few months. I see it everywhere, don't I?
yeah, well, Tokyo, wasn't it? Bangkok and then Qatar. Did you go to
Qatar.
Qatar? Yeah.
Yeah, in Qatar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course we chatted, yeah, and then Bangkok again. And then there was a few weeks off, Bangkok again. You're kind of flitting in and out, aren't you? Back to Australia, but now you're mostly chilling in Thailand, I believe. How's it been? What a crazy couple of months, 3 months, right?
Yeah, it's busy start to the year. Definitely a busy start to the year. Japan feels like ages ago.
It
Like
does,
when we had
doesn't
the
it?
chat, Japan feels like so long ago, and it's just been fight after fight, and it continues now
Well,
for
Japan was interesting because you did Takeru and Superlek, right? In the
yeah.
main event, you
That was the first time.
one made sure you were there to ensure the main event went ahead.
That was the first time I've ever worked with two people at the same time, which is quite interesting. Seems like it's going to continue a bit this year.
Yes, because you pretty much do everyone now of importance in one championship. Tell us some of your other names. I know you've got Jonathan Haggerty, Liam Harrison, Smilla Sundell, Pet Gija. I
Nico
mean,
Carrillo,
Nico Carrillo, yeah, who definitely needs help getting there.
Amber Kitchen, work with Natalia too, Nabil. Trying to think, there's probably other people that I completely forget, but yeah, it's pretty staffing about 20 fighters on one at the moment. So yeah, pretty busy.
Yeah, every
So
time I see you, you seem to have got a new client or two or three.
yeah, it's crazy because a couple of years ago I think my first fighter on one was Chris Shaw, and then it went from recommendation, then started working with Liam, then Savas, and then yeah, just kind of then Haggerty, and it kind of just went from there. Now seems to have quite a few people on one championship.
What was the moment when you kind of spiraled or cannonballed, snowballed, you know what I mean, out of control into the monster that Condition Nutrition has now become? Can you pinpoint a time? You
Um,
mentioned Haggerty there.
I think it's just been accumulating, just putting the work in, and then I think Liam working with Liam for the Nongo fight was pretty big. That was like the first big world title fight, and then I think with my work, when people see the work that you've done and it's a good job, and they're making weight well and they're feeling good, that kind of spirals. And then obviously when John beat Nongo, that was helping him with that. People seeing that, um, we making weight easy and stuff like that. So kind of snowballs from there, really.
It did. We're going to get into it all.
It's crazy to think as well that John beat Nongo nearly a year ago, and now got 6 world champions and one. It's just crazy to think how last year was just the one, and it's just pretty surreal.
Yeah, I've seen this man. He works very hard. He's always got his laptop with him, like me. We
Yeah,
often
see you
spend,
there, don't I? Down at the cafe.
yeah, whichever hotel we're in will be you'll be diligently working away. At any one time, how many fighters have you got on the go? Because it's not just one championship, right? You have people in other
Yeah,
promotions, other countries.
it's usually one time maybe like 60, 70 people at a time.
60 or 70.
Yeah, about 60 or 70 people at a time. Yeah, so it's a full time job. it's Yeah, and a lot of people. The thing with the fight game is I'll have 60 people at a time, maybe 10 people will be weighing in 1 week. They'll weigh in, and then the people that I've fought previously have had a bit of time off. They come back on board again. It's just a kind of revolving door.
Yeah, I know. I just can't imagine how you do it. I didn't know you had 70 a week. I thought it maybe like 7 or 8 or something, but that's madness.
Yeah, it's lucky with me plans as well. It's online. The meal plans that we use is on an app, so it's quite easy to navigate and follow. And I'm always on my phone, so I think that's when you look at your screen time sometimes you think, oh fuck, I've been on my phone for 8 hours today. But part of the job is to, the side of it where different time zones and you have to communicate with people. But I don't consider my job as work. I love what I do. It's the best job ever. Getting people on weight, getting to punch and kick and elbow and knee each other in the face at the end of it. What a job.
Yeah, you've had a pretty huge success rate. Mostly, I would say people tend to pass if they're working with you, and if they don't, it's not your fault usually. From the ones I've seen, it's something they've done or they've turned up massively overweight for the week.
Yeah.
What would you class as your biggest success story? Maybe one you thought may not happen, but you got them over the line.
I think a lot of people are always with Nico. Everyone's saying he's too big for the weight. He's not going to do it. Like, there was a big thing, especially in the UK, that he's not going to make bantamweight. It wasn't a big cut that we did with him. He made it pretty comfortably, and it was nice to see that he proved people wrong, that he could actually make the weight. And I think a lot of things people see it as the old school way, and things been passed down by coaches. When you do things like by science and you monitor things and you're on it for weeks and you're tracking how they're getting on, a lot of the time, it all goes to plan. Like, I've had conversations a lot of times with fighters where fighters I work with and want and say, I don't think the weight class that you fight at now is suitable for you. But it's quite a hard conversation when they're getting offered fights that way. But if there's any kind of fighter that I don't think it's suitable, like I've had a conversation with you about a fighter where I've said at the start of the week that they're not making it, and I've put it out there. And sometimes fighters listen, sometimes they don't. It's just, but I always try and do it the safest way possible.
How the hell does Nico Carrillo make it to bantamweight without giving the game away too much?
Do you know what? It's not a big cut that people think. It's crazy because he's a big lad. He's got a big frame, but he cuts no more than other bantamweights that I work with. Maybe a little bit more than some, but in comparison to, I think, because I've got people who fight at bantamweight in other organizations like Cage Warriors and MMA, and Nico's small in comparison to these weight cuts. I think people just he when you look at him on photos and videos, he's one of the people who's shredded all year round. So people automatically think, oh yeah, he's not going to make the weight and stuff. But yeah, we've done 2 of it now, 2 fights at bantamweight now. We know what works for him. We know what roughly he's going to cut each time, and he knows that. And yeah, it's, well, I'd never say a weight cut's easy, but we do it comfortably.
Because I've stood next to him and interviewed him after one of his fights at Lumpini, and he's bigger than most lightweights in one, not even just featherweights in terms of height. And yeah, he looks huge as well. It's a miracle you get him there, and you get him there safely, right? He's not dying on the scale or anything like that.
Yeah, it's all about preparation. Preparation. They say preparation is key. It's very cliche, but you've got to put the things in place. You've got to make sure everything's on point. And he comes to me with enough time. He's one of them athletes who's on it all year round. He's not one of the fighters who balloons up after the fight. You see his Instagram. He's always running, up mountains, walking his dog. He's like always active. So he's actually quite an easy person to work with in comparison to some people where I'm having a conversation saying, look, you can't keep ballooning up after fights and, they're getting a little bit heavy each camp. Nico's not like that at all. So he's actually, in comparison to a lot of people, relatively easy to work with.
Well, we know he's having trouble getting the fight he really wants, which is Jonathan Haggerty bantamweight Muay Thai title shot. Do you think there's a chance we could see Nico go up to featherweight? Because it'd probably be pretty easy for him to make that, and I'm sure it wouldn't be too out of the realm of possibility to see him get a title shot, maybe against Tawanchai if he went up there. I mean, could you see that happening? Has Nico talked to you about possibly going up?
That's the first kind of time I've ever thought about that. I wouldn't see why he wouldn't rule out in the future, but I think he's definitely got his eyes set on the bantamweight division, and I think he's got a lot of potentially big fights in that division. So I think naturally, even for the likes of John, a natural progression would be to move up a division. But I think for the time being, he's probably gonna stay at bantamweight, I would imagine, anyway. Until he tells it was.
But that's a difficult one for you coming up, isn't it? If those guys do meet, because like we're saying, you also have Haggerty on your clientele list, and you work with those guys a lot. When it was Takeri, I think you only worked with him during Fight Week in Tokyo.
Yeah.
And Superlek was also kind of new, but you've been working with Haggerty and Nico Carrillo for a long time now. Would that be a tough one for you when that finally happens?
It's one of them. I kind of look at like cross that bridge when it comes to it. Like they both of them I get on with like really well. Known them for a long time. Got a really good relationship with both camps. Like because as the nutritionist, you're there. Like I've been there with John's backstage when he's fighting for the world title. You're there. You're part of like the team. So it is it's an interesting scenario to be in. But I kind of look as like, right, if they do fight each other down the line, then we have that conversation then. But yeah, I think it's inevitable them fighting. It's gonna happen. And me as a fan, that is like such an awesome fight to see. Obviously, it's a shit situation for me because I actually like the pair of them and work with them. But for the fan, that is like such a good fight.
I agree with you. Forgive me, just blowing my nose. I've been sick for 3 weeks at least now. I swear. Everyone's getting sick, especially in Bangkok. John Bella got sick.
Yeah.
Missed weight. Didn't pass the hydration. What did you make of that? Were you surprised he didn't make weight? And he didn't look too good on the scale, right? In the pictures they eventually released.
It's a hard one, really, because I wouldn't like to kind of make judgment on things that I don't know the full details of it. I think, unfortunately, sometimes it happens. I don't know how much he cuts. If he cuts a lot, he didn't look great. He didn't look great on the scales on the face off. It's unfortunate, really, because that would have been such a good fight to watch. But I think sometimes when that happens to a fighter, it kind of makes them think, right, well, I need to do things differently next time. Sometimes people get complacent. Maybe they need to change. Yeah, it's a hard one. I always have this conversation with fighters. This is nothing to do with the Bella, but I find that when fighters are pretty much on weight all week in one, and they're ticking over it, they kind of get slack with the hydration side of things. And you see a lot of these fighters who are on weight all week end up missing hydration. I think sometimes it takes you needed to cut a little bit of weight for you to be on top of the hydration too, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because people think, I'm on weight all week. So yeah, I mean, your hydration will be cool, and then you do it and then you fail. So sometimes it actually probably takes you to need to lose a little bit of weight to be on top of the hydration. But yeah, hopefully that fight gets made again in the future.
Hopefully, yes, I agree. Well, there's a lot to talk to you about. If you're joining us late, this is Peter Miller, who runs Condition Nutrition. Basically, anyone who's anyone in one championship is now turning to this man to help them make weight for their fights. Got a few champions on the books. But there's some questions in the chat. I'm going to throw at you if you're okay with that.
Far away.
Let's have a little look. Okay. Can Condition Nutrition help fighters move up in weight without just packing on fat and water?
100%. Prime examples, Jonathan Haggerty. He's when he decided to move up to bantamweight, it was always going to take a little bit of an adjustment period to put on a little bit of size. Like his first fight at bantamweight, he didn't look like a bantamweight. He probably admit that himself. And then once he had the Nongo fight, you seen the size of him against Nongo. He was massive. Even Mitch was saying in the commentary, like the size of him now. It just takes a bit of an adjustment, and it requires months, not weeks, of doing things correctly. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm moving up a weight class. That means I just need to eat loads, no matter what it is, just pile the calories on. It doesn't really work like that. Like, to put on muscle, it's a time-consuming process. It's an energy-consuming process. So, yeah, you just need to be, if you want to do it properly, it requires a little bit of patience and time.
That was from Anonymous. Thanks for the question. His story of the fight, saying, I see people say that having a lot of muscle mass allows for easier water cutting. I know one is different with hydration, but is that accurate?
So muscles, like 70-80% water, and fat around 10 to 20% water. So in theory, if you have more muscle, you can hold a little bit more water. In terms of, does that make it easier for cutting? Not necessarily, because you could have quite a lot of muscle and compete at too low of a weight class, which, I mean, if you're in a calorie, say for example, someone is fighting at 70 kilos and they walk around the 80 kilos, but they haven't got a pick of fat on them. The only way they're gonna lose any kind of mass is by losing a bit of muscle mass, and then the rest of that's going to come from a water cut, which is going to be quite hard to do. So this is what happens to a lot of fighters, is the too lean for the weight class, which then ultimately leads into them doing a big water. Because if you got no fat on you, where you losing that weight, so then you tap into your muscle mass, which muscle's important for strength, power. That can affect your performance attributes. So yeah, probably a long-winded answer there. I hope that kind of made sense.
I think it did. And another one from Anonymous, I was going to mention earlier. I forgot to. Did you see what Edgar Tabarez posted recently about all the weight bullies he's been fighting in the flyweight division? He seemed pissed off about Dennis Pirich's bum comment. Yes, in the interview with Dennis called him the biggest bum in one championship.
Well, the last person he fought was Johan, and Johan doesn't cut a lot of weight. I work with Johan, don't I? So like, he doesn't cut a lot of weight. So
he was over pretty badly, right? I remember I wasn't there for that one, but I think he missed by 5 pounds at least.
He missed his hydration, but that was all I've got to say to that. That was a little bit of a mistake on his team's part, but he's only a young lad, so he'll learn from that. But in terms of like him as an actual walking around weight, he's pretty small in comparison to flyweights. So yeah, I don't know much about Edgar, how much what he cuts and stuff, but who else has he fought recently? Has he fought Rod Tang?
Yeah, his debut was Rod Tang, and then he got beaten by Elias Mahmoudi. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. who is pretty big for the weight class and who missed weight.
See,
So
my opinion on when people say weight bullies, if the person's making the weight, how are they a weight bully? Because I had this conversation with someone the other day. Say someone's cutting 2 kilos and then someone's cutting 2.5 kilos. Is this an imaginary line where something's normal and then it becomes cheating or bullying? Do you see what I mean? Does that mean because someone's cutting an extra half a kilo, they're more of a, because weight cutting is technically cheating anyway, because you're trying to gain an advantage over opponents. So you can if you want to, when people say this weight bullying cheating thing, it makes no sense to me, because there's no imaginary line where a little bit of weight's okay, but that little bit more is now classed as cheating.
yeah, I've never looked at it that way. Yeah, I guess it's true.
Yeah,
but
if someone's cutting even like 200 grams more than his opponent, is his opponent more of a cheat than him? Do you know what I mean? Like, if the guy's making the weight, how can he be a weight bully? That's all right. That's my personal opinion of it. If he's missing weight, then you could say, and the fight still goes ahead, and you say, okay, well, he's a weight bully because he's trying to drop a load of weight and he's missed the weight. But if they're making the weight, the same weight as the opponent left on the scales, how is that? I don't see how that's bullying, in my opinion, anyway.
Semantics, I guess. But I do feel bad for Edgar. I've said this a lot of the time, but he's naturally a strawweight, and he's just been given 3 flyweight fights against monsters, or two monsters and one real prospect in Johan, who's knocked everyone out in about 10 seconds on his way up. So I would love to see Edgar get a fight at strawweight, and yeah, let's make it happen. One championship. Come on, he's a nice guy. Anyway, I don't think he needs your help making weight if it's at flyweight, though. He's All right. Anonymous again. So do you use DEXA scans to get your fighters' body compositions?
Yeah, I do. That's something that I recommend to people who are starting off. So say someone will come to me and go, I give the example before, I fight at 70 kilos, I'm walking around 80, ask them a bit about the weight cut history. I'll cut quite a lot of weight and go, right, let's get a body composition scan, either through DEXA, and then let's see if your body composition is suitable for your weight class. And then sometimes that can be a difficult conversation with the coach or the fighter, and say, look, like, realistically, could you get to that weight in a couple of fights? Yeah, but long term, is that suitable for you? Probably not. So a DEXA scan is good. It's good to get the information instead of just going, oh, well, he fights at this weight, let's just crack on and give him his diet plan for that. He might not be suitable for that, or him or her.
All right, and Michael Owens, what's up, Michael? Saying, without naming any names, or you can if you want, has anyone ever hired you but not taken your advice, leading to a bad cut or weight miss? I think I know the answer to that.
Yeah, you know the answer to that. Well, I'll keep that quiet. But in terms of, I think you've got to look at where you're giving someone a plan. They've got the choice to follow it or not. It's down to them. Like, you can lead the horse to water. You give them advice what to do, give them the best plan for them, and it's ultimately down to them. Would I say fighters I've worked with, I've potentially missed something out or not followed something on fight week or the weight cut? Like, I've worked with hundreds of fighters now. I'd say that more than likely have happened, but there's nothing of any. Yeah, there's nothing of any like real note. But I would say, out of the hundreds of people I've worked with someone on fight week gone, oh, I'm not gonna have that on it tonight. I might add a little bit of might put a bit of seasoning on it, or might have there's a bit of ice cream in the fridge. It's probably happened once or twice.
Of course. And Chester, what's up? Josh saying, is Superlet going to make it more difficult for him to go back down, or was his weight cut actually not bad after he got with you? I know the answer to that as well.
So his weight cut was, like I've said this to you, my job in Japan was probably one of the easiest weight cuts I've done. It was obviously no weight cut is easy per se, but he made the weight so comfortably. Yeah, I suppose it's him going up a weight and then him going back down could potentially lead to make it a little bit more difficult if he went back down again. It all really depends on what his strategy is for what he's going to walk around in this camp, and what his weight's going to be. But I think he's probably looking at it that bantamweight's his new home now, because he said it. I think he said it in interviews with you, hasn't he? I think he's pretty set on moving up to bantamweight now.
I guess you'll have to deal with that when it happens as well. But yeah.
I actually spoken to Superlek since pretty much Japan. Actually, such a nice guy. Like, shout out to him. He's like top guy. Really easy to work. When the first Thai I've worked with, where the language barrier was interesting. Using Google and line ID translate on the group chats. That was a cool experience for me. But yeah, that fight with John's going to be unbelievable. Once again, as just as a fan point of view, that is unreal. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's happening more and more now. You're going to have two fighters against each other. We have Superlek and Haggerty in Denver. But also, I think, yes, next month, Smilla Sindel, and you have Natalia, right?
Yeah, Natalia.
There we go. So, I mean, we were going to preview that card as well. So I don't know. Maybe that's a good place to start on that front.
Let's go.
It's hard to ask you for a prediction, but what do you see going into that fight? Each other's strength.
Do you know what? I've had a few messages off people, and never really get as much hype for messages in terms of a female fight. And I'm getting so many messages saying this is going to be one of the best fights they're going to see in a long time. Smilla is like a Duracell bunny. She's got energy for days. I remember the last fight with Alicia. She mentioned in an interview that she just had so much energy, and you just see the way she is in there. Natalia, boxing, really good. It's going to be another one, which is it's going to be a main event too, which is pretty awesome for them both. It's going to be. What do you think? I'll throw back at you. I'll throw back at you now. Oof. I'll avoid the question and ask you.
I think, obviously more familiar with Smilla, and I'm kind of reduced to just seeing Natalia's highlight reel stuff. She's obviously got a puncher's chance, but I mean, I don't see anyone defeating Smilla Sindel anytime soon. I really don't. And I'm surprised they actually put Natalia in this position, coming off winning the contract, going straight to a title fight. It seems kind of unfair to me to put her in that spot. I would rather see them build her up against a couple of girls in the division first. But Smilla needs challenges, right? You know that. No one really wants to fight her.
She struggled. We really struggled to get opponents, and it's hard for someone at her age. She wants to fight. She wants to be active, and circumstances, people don't want to fight. There's not the opponents there. I want to fight Smilla. She's scary. It doesn't surprise me that people don't want to fight her. It doesn't surprise me, and it's hard. And I'm really happy for that she's active again, and because it's quite hard when you're sitting on the sidelines and fights are happening, and you're just itching to get back in there. And some fighters need that that focus. Like I've got this coming up, and it's going to be pretty interesting. It's great. It's like 3 weeks away, less than 3 weeks away, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Well, May
Yeah.
May 5th or 4th,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, it's creeping up on us again. Been back in Hong Kong now for a week and a bit, so be leaving in 2 weeks. Yeah, they come thick and fast, these events.
I've got 4 people on that card as well, so that's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, well, we'll go through the card in a bit. I want to get your thoughts on that, but I also want to get your thoughts on Iman Barlow, because I saw that Smiller posted on Instagram and it's got everyone talking. You commented on the post. Iman commented on the post. The manager commented on the post. Caused a lot of drama. What's your take on the whole situation? Iman is saying, she signed for the fight in September and it was moved back 3 weeks. So she couldn't do it because of the date change.
Yeah.
Miller was saying they offered the fight to her in March and April, but Iman said she'd already retired. It's crazy.
The only one I'd heard about is the September one. I know about that, and she couldn't do it because of work commitments. I don't really know much about the other ones. It's a shame, really, because that would have been a really good fight. Yeah, trying to stay clear of all the politics behind it, but I think Smilla might just been venting the frustration in terms of that she wants to fight, and people might have told her that Iman was potential on the cards, and maybe it might have just been a little bit of frustration from her. But yeah, it's a shame to see Iman retire, because that would have been a really good matchup.
All right. What was fight? This is from Story of the Fight back in the chat. Was fight nutrition always the goal? Very cool to see all the recent success and the client boom within one. Yeah, I was going to ask you the same. How did you get into this field?
So I'd always been kind of around the space of a few of my mates were boxers, like MMA fighters, a couple of my mates are Thai boxers. And I'll be honest, when I did a degree, did a sports science degree, did a master's degree in sports nutrition, and I always had the aim of I wanted to work with just athletes in general, like everyone wants to work with football players, wants to work with boxers, like everyone. And then I'll try and give a short version of it. I moved to Australia with the idea of I wanted Australia's the place to set up a business because it's sun, people are fit, active, it's good for sports. Like, so I moved to backpacked, went to Australia on my own, and then didn't quite go to plan setting up the business. Ended up being like a little bit of a kind of long holiday for a couple of years, shall we say. And then a couple of years in, I really wanted to push doing what I wanted to do in terms of my degree. So I'd already set Condition Nutrition up before I left to go to Australia. Set up an Instagram page, just posting like fitness facts or generic stuff that you see on a lot of pages, and then was working with people like online, but not a lot whilst I was over there. Maybe couple of fighters here and there, and then 3 years into being in Australia, I realized, right, I need to really crack on and make something of the business. Started advertising gyms, clubs, everything, and a lot of fighters started coming to me, and more started coming, and I kind of made the decision that I just wanted to work with fighters, and then just niched everything down and just specified working with fighters, and then literally probably was the best thing I ever did, really, because it's weird in a way, because I've always had a love for combat sports, but my love has grown and grown and grown as the business has progressed and progressed and progressed. So it's quite it's become just like such a passion now, and yeah, like one of the best decisions I made was to kind of just to specify working with fighters. And now, as I said to you, like it doesn't feel like a job to me. I love what I do. I love trying to help fighters. And like fighters are such unique. No fighter is the same. Like you'd have so many different characters that you work with, and everyone's different. I just don't think you get that working in any other sport. Just the scenarios that you have to deal with, and the weight cutting scenarios and things that happen. I just don't think you get that with any other sport, which makes it just like even better to work in.
Yeah, and lots of travel. You've been all over the world, like we were saying at the beginning of the show. You'll be going to America later this year. I think back to Japan probably.
Yeah.
And yeah. What
Yes.
this is a fun life, isn't it? Now you sort of moved to Thailand essentially, right?
Yeah, so the business started kind of taking off a couple of years ago, and then I was based in Australia. I had no intention of leaving Australia. I was like, it's probably hard to imagine me look like a scouser, like loving the beach. I was like such a like relaxed, chill guy at the beach, and then I was like, right, for me to grow my business, I need to move. I need to go back to the UK, network with gyms, and do a bit of traveling. And it was like one of the best decisions I ever made. A hard decision to leave sunny Perth and go back to cold, wet Liverpool, but yeah, just went back, did seminars, went to as many events as possible, connected with like a bad company and stuff like that. And then I always find with business where it's that first starting point where you're trying to build it and you're just not getting past that little point, and you're pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and then you just get past it and everything kind of flows naturally. And yeah, the last couple of years I've been traveling, based in Thailand for a couple of months at a time, going to one fights, and went back to Australia for a little bit, now back here. Just following the fights, just following the work and the fights.
Yeah, Denver, September. I think Tokyo is also September. It's gonna be a busy month. That then Bangkok, I think, a couple weeks later, early October.
I think I've got fight for every. So June, so May, Liam in June. I don't want to mention that. I've got someone else in July.
I think I know who it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and then August. I know for certain I've got someone else on in the August prime card, and then leads into Haggerty, and then potentially other people might be on that card too, and then hopefully Japan. So I think as of now, it's probably going to be every month that there's going to be a prime card that I'm going to be at, and it's crazy because you think like. As I said to you before, like Japan feels like ages ago. It was only 2.5 months ago.
Yes, sir. End of January, and we are mid-April now.
All coming
busy.
Time just feels like so long when you're here, there, and everywhere. Everyone feels like so long ago.
Agreed. It's a crazy life
that
we live. Some of these, it's going to be very busy around September. I think definitely.
Yeah,
bit of a quieter schedule at the moment.
Hopefully, a couple of American fighters away. Hopefully, Luke gets on that card. I hope it makes sense for him to be on that. Luke the Chef. So,
I think so.
Hopefully, other people will get on. So, it might be another busy me running up and down corridors, cup of coffee in my hand, checking everyone in the weight cutting. Yeah. And I've been to America. I only went to America as a kid, going to Disneyland. So I'm actually really excited to go to America, and Denver. It's gonna be cool.
Yes, excited to go back. I enjoyed Denver last time.
Yeah, it was on last year, wasn't it? Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, did some good hikes after the fight week.
Yeah, I want to try and plan potentially doing some seminars while I'm out there with a couple of gym. I work with a few fighters out there, so I'm trying to make a bit of a tour out of it. Maybe spend a month out there, something like that.
Yes, I'll see you there. But yes, this is a good follow-up from the story of the fight. At what point does one championship just hire you to make sure the top fights go through without a hitch? LOL.
Hey, if they're willing to pay me a nice fee, then I'm open. I'm open to a conversation. But you know yourself, like I've said this to you, with it, like one hired me for the Superlek fight. So, you know, if you know any other fighters that need a bit of help, you know, my phone's always open.
Yeah, because I think they did they help. They like flew you to Japan, right, to make sure that fight went
Yeah,
through. Because there's
yeah,
no way they were going to let it not happen.
yeah, that was that was an interesting that was an interesting week before in itself, trying to know if I was going or not, and then flying last minute from Perth. But yeah, it was that was one of them cards where you think that was for the start of the year as well. Such a good card. It's hard to beat that.
Yeah, I remember I was in a rush as well. I found out I was going about 2 days before I flew out. So I didn't have a job at that point, and then sorted things out with Sportskeeda. So it was all a rush. It was a whirlwind. But
Yeah, I remember because I was looking to change my flight to stay an extra few days, and I was looking at it, and the flight was maybe like £50 to change. I was like, do I just stay for an extra week and do a bit and explore and post fight? And it didn't. And then I flew back to Perth, and as soon as I got back to Perth, I was like, why didn't I stay an extra week? Japan was awesome.
yeah, next time I'm gonna definitely stay after, because yeah, this time I just came in and then left straight after. Next morning, didn't have any time because I had to fly back to London straight away, and I'll be planning this one properly for sure. But yes, let's get into this card then. I just wanted to preview it, and you said you have 4 fighters on this card, so I'm going to try and guess, see if I know them all. Actually, I'm just going to bring it on the screen.
I think you'll struggle to know the 4.
I never know who you got. Like when I turn up in fight week, it's always a nice guessing game.
You'll know obviously the first 2.
I know Smiller and Natalia, yes. So let's try and play bingo. I'm going to go through the fights. Akbar Abdullah versus Halil Amir, Sinsamut versus Dmitry Menshikov, Maurice Abevi, Zhang Li Peng, Hiroki Akimoto Wei Rui, Reese McLaren versus Hu Yong, Rungраwi and Bogdan Shumarov, Chihiro Sawada, Noel Grandjean, Tong Poon versus Zakaria El Jamari, Nanami Ichikawa against Bianca Basilio, and Sean Climaco and Joshua Cruz. All right, who are we thinking that Condition Nutrition has? I'm going to go with Sinsamut.
Nope.
Oh. It's gonna be so. Is it random as hell?
I don't think you get it. I might as well just tell you.
All right.
I've got Bogdan and Sean as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed those guys.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Sean was fighting.
Yeah, so he won the Road to One in America.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This fight was added to the card, I think, in the last couple of days, or when they dropped the full card. All right, interesting. Bogdan is fighting Rungраwi, who is obviously Sitsong Pinong, who is of the gym that my usual co-host Tristan is manager of. So he'll be upset. You're friends with Tristan, right?
Yeah, we spoke a lot in Japan. He was, we were all part of the same kind of team, weren't we? The Superlek team.
That was fun.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah, it's my first time working with Bogdan. He reached out a few weeks ago, and we'd spoken a few months prior, saying that when he's got a call up to money, he'll get in contact. And yeah, I think he's in Tiger at the moment. He's training out Tiger, yeah. And Sean's coming out on Sunday. He's going to Fairtex.
There we go.
Yeah.
Austin, good to see you. Austin's finally caught the live stream. And I was second this. Yes, go subscribe to Story of the Fight. Great channel. Also subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Give this stream a like and make sure you hit that notification bell, because some of you are always saying you missed the live streams, but you have to hit that bell to get the notification telling you when we're going live. So please do it now. unless you want to miss the next stream. But we're still here for a little bit longer. Going to check out some of these fights. Halil Amir versus Akbar Abdullayev should be a banger, says Austin. Grandjean is fun too. Her and Sawada should be a high pace. You obviously had Jihin, when she fought Sawada. So you kind of seen her up close. I think Sawada missed weight as well, actually, for that fight.
Yeah,
it's funny given she's tiny. She's about 4'5", but
yeah.
what do you think of this fight then?
I remember being quite small because I was waiting to see what she was at the weigh-ins. Yeah, very small.
But yeah, I mean, putting your fan hat on. What are you expecting from this fight, her and Noel?
I'll be honest. I don't really know. I haven't really seen much of the pair of them, if I'm being honest. So I'll probably be the worst person to give a prediction.
Who are you familiar with on the card? And we can.
Like Tom Coon, obviously he's fought Ellis, who we've worked with. So that's an interesting fight to see. So I would imagine Ellis would be fighting him again once he's allowed to compete again. I would think. And who else? Obviously, the Simpson fight. That's a really good fight too. That's a really good fight.
Yes, looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I think we saw Zakaria, who's fighting Tungpoon, who was out in Qatar, wasn't he, when we were on?
Yeah.
In Doha. I think he lost to someone. Good question. I'm gonna.
I think I might have missed this fight. He might have been one of the first ones on. Did he lose against the guy who Lee was fighting? Or am I imagining? No, I'm imagining that, Anna. Yeah, ignore me. Yeah, completely different class. 2 different weight classes.
He lost to Ali Saldoev in the second round. TKO. I remember this now. Yeah, it was a decent finish. Ali missed weight, if I'm correct, and I think Ali's a Tiger guy as well. So
yeah. It's good that Smil and Natalia, the main event. That's pretty good to see.
Yeah, I was a bit worried when they announced the card at the beginning. It didn't have a title fight. Main event was Sinsumet and Dmitry Mechkov, but they've added this fight. I hope it stays together. Well, it probably will stay together because you're in charge of both fighters. So I'm not worried about that. But Akbar Abdullayev and Halil Amir should be a fun one. Featherweight. That's maybe one you could answer. Yeah, because Halil is pretty big. He's normally a lightweight. I'm not sure how he's gonna get down to featherweight, but apparently he feels this is more a natural weight class. I don't know if you've seen much of Halil Amir. Like, he's a bit of a monster from when I've seen him fight. He's not tiny by any means.
Big as well, from lightweight to featherweight. Like it's a pretty big jump to move down the weight class.
Yeah, I think I was speculating that perhaps he just feels he's never going to get this fight with Christian Lee or anytime soon. So he's just like, fuck it, I'm going to go to featherweight.
Yeah.
He may have a better chance against
Tenkai. The point where he doesn't, if he's probably walking around sub 80 kilos, you'd probably say with a bit of time he'd be able to get to featherweight. She might not be as big, might not be a particularly big lightweight anyway.
Well, Halil, if you're watching, maybe reach out to this man here. He can help you if you have any problems. But yes, he fought this man, Maurice Abevi, before. And Maurice has looked quite good. He looked good against Halil, and I think he knocked out Blake Cooper in Singapore. Were you at that card last September?
That was wasn't Smiller. That was
Smiller and Alicia.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
I did 2 weight cuts in one day that day. I did one Lumpini. I did George Jarvis's weight cut. Then I jumped on a plane, flew to Singapore, and then did Smiller's weight cut that evening.
That's mad.
Yeah, that was a pretty full on day. That
I can imagine. I didn't know.
Yeah, that was Yeah, two different weight cuts in 2 different countries. I think that's a record. That definitely.
I think that is a record. You should get the bonus for that.
Yeah, ask Chachi for the bonus.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to the chat again. Connor, what's up? Says, can't wait to see the last 5 fights. They're all amazing. Great card overall. Chester is pumped for Akimoto's return. Yes, so am I. I feel you might be seeing Akimoto eventually, Peter. I feel with Haggerty having the bantamweight kickboxing belt, I imagine if Akimoto wins this fight, he positions himself very well. I don't know how much you know about him.
Yeah. It's just, I suppose it's just when he would fight John, because it's one of them. When you've got 2 belts, it's hard to defend them both.
I can't see it happening in 2024, and that's what I mean. It's going to be even worse if Superlek beats John. He's going to have belts in 2 different divisions. It's going to hold up everything, isn't it? What a mess! But there you go. It is what it is. It is a great fight.
It's not a bad problem to have, having the 2 belts, not knowing when you're going to fit all these fights in, I suppose.
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't go for Haggerty versus Andrade because for the MMA belt, I just thought now's the time. If you're going to do that 3 sport thing, you may never have the chance again to have an active champion with all 3 belts. Because I know Stampa's done it technically, but she's never held them all concurrently.
Yeah,
I think why not find out if Haggerty could beat Fabricio in MMA, and then you could still do the Superlek fight.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to be, if Andrade is going to beat Haggerty in MMA, he's probably going to try and choke him out. So I don't think he's taking too much damage. But
I personally just don't like. I don't know. I just don't see. It's obviously great for John to do that. I just don't see it as a. It doesn't excite me a lot, that fight. And that's just coming from like a fan point of view. It's like obviously it's amazing for John, and I'd love him to do that. And obviously, if that fight happened, but it's like a fan, it doesn't like go, oh yeah, that's a really exciting fight. That
I know he wanted it after his last fight. He told me he wanted it.
He definitely wants it. I think potentially after the Superlek fight, that could be something lined up. But then there's other names that are getting thrown in the hat. So he's a busy boy, John. It's the problems of being a double champ. Everyone wants you.
Yeah, I'm just a bit sad he's sidelined, I guess, until September.
Yeah.
I quite liked Haggerty being active, defending belts, and he's got challenges in everywhere. Yeah, so it's a shame, but hopefully.
I think it's what I would assume is him being on the America card because it's good for the American card. You probably know more than me about this, but I assume that's why they've put him on there, because it's such a big. It's like what a fight to kind of show to the American fans again.
Yeah, I think you see the reaction to Holloway Gaethje from UFC 300, which was essentially like watching a kickboxing fight, with 4-ounce gloves. I think they want to show that American audience, who are obviously all going to be big UFC fans, like, hey, we do the stuff you like in MMA without the boring stuff, the wrestling and the grappling. But here's some grappling as well, anyway, on its own.
I think they should. I don't know. You probably know what he was on the card, but they've got to put like. I think personally should be like Muay Thai heavy, for just purely because I think the last couple of cards when they've been MMA heavy, they haven't been amazing in my personal opinion. This is me not coming from. This is removing me nutritionist side of things, but as like a fan, I'd like to see like another amazing matchup like that. Like, even though it's not like it's like Rodtang versus someone, and just have a stacked show what one's strongest at, which is Muay Thai mainly, isn't it? So I think that's what I'd like to see anyway.
Yeah, I think they will probably do that, and there will be, but there's going to have to be some MMA because
Yeah.
you
Oh
need
yeah, there's
that.
always the mixtures, yeah.
But I think they will bring in the big names, so to speak, of the MMA.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be underwhelming. You'd hope. So I think the MMA in Denver last time was all great. Every fight was awesome. I think, apart
Yeah.
from the main event, actually, DJ and Adriano. But I'm
Yeah.
sure they will make a good card. Um,
Hopefully maybe get Liam on there as well.
yeah, Liam and Sexan, I think, is in the works for Denver. Hopefully, still is. But I
That
think
would be
Sexan sustained a couple of broken ribs, which isn't gonna heal up anytime soon. So just maybe the time frame could be tough. But Liam is
yeah.
back in June, as you mentioned.
He is.
Impact
He is
Arena
back,
1167. Yeah,
back in camp now, in full swing. So yeah, exciting. See him back. Feels like ages ago that he was when he last fought. Long ago. Seems like a lifetime ago.
it does. It does. All right, I'm throwing it quickly to the chat. We'll do another 5 minutes or so. We're only going to do an hour today, guys. But if you have any questions, we can try and get to them quickly. Austin saying, speaking of Christian Lee, didn't his little brother just post he signed his first contract? I'm so hyped for these two to return. Yeah, Adrian Lee has signed his first fight, so I guess that might land him on June or July. I thought they would save him for Singapore, so I don't
Is
know if
that
they're gonna.
a one Lumpini contract, or is that like a
No,
official?
I'm sure he's gonna be on a fight night card or a numbered event, and I imagine it would be in Singapore, just with the family history. So
Okay.
maybe they're going to announce the Singapore show, and Christian Lee might be on that one, guys. So stop, don't worry. I hope he is sued. Yes, as Austin says, I wouldn't be surprised if Christian and his little brother are both being saved for those cards. They're exciting, so it makes sense. Yeah, they might be on the Denver card. Who knows if it's not Singapore? I think Christian Lee in America makes sense. Yeah, just depends what division, lightweight or welterweight. Um, all right, here's one more for you. Definitely is. Well, it's not for me because I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to get Nabil to gain 10 pounds. What kind of diet would you put him on?
To gain 10 pounds.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like a where do we start really? But what I said to you about when someone asked a similar question before, it's if someone's wanting to put on weight, say the 10 pounds example, you rushing and doing that is not going to be great. It's going to take a sustained period of time, like take a few months and slowly increasing the calorie intake, minimizing any kind of fat gain, focus on an S&C, put a bit more of an emphasis on that, instead of like, oh, I need to put on 10 pounds, let's just eat. That's probably the shortest answer for that anyway. Nabil's actually, like, since we were working together, his fight against Superlek, I remember my first team, I didn't work with him in the Superlek fight. I looked and said, oh my God, he's the tallest, skinniest guy I've ever seen. And then since we started working together, and then his last fight, he's like filled out so much. Like me and Mehdi spoke about it before. Like he's filled out massively.
I haven't seen him for a while. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, really nice kid. Such a nice kid too. Really good to work with. He needs to get a fight soon, hopefully.
Well, they keep trying to get Pan Payak and Nabil together.
Yeah, that'd be
I
good.
heard Pan Payak's coming back in May, but I don't know if that's true.
All right, interesting.
Maybe that'll happen. All right. Here we go. What? Singapore card. Fight night on numbered event has to be July or August then, says Dark Side. Christian has been gone too long. Yeah, I agree.
I think the
Hopefully
last
he's
fight
back.
I've seen him on was he did he win his belt on the same card that Haggerty had his first fight at bantamweight? That was
Yes.
yeah, and
He
Rod Tang was
fought.
on as well, wasn't he? Rod Tang fought Lazeri, didn't he? Yeah, I think I remember that because I was there. Yeah, that's really
Yeah,
cool.
I was there. Yeah,
Yeah,
Kuzmin and Haggerty.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Nolan was on as well. Liam was on. Yeah,
Yeah, Christian beat Abasov. Great
yeah.
fight. Great fight that was. I can't believe that. Yeah, it's been
Because
so
that
long.
was when they had the cards in the evening as well, wasn't it? Because there was a card on.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
double header, the
the double
dreaded
head.
double headers.
Yeah, double head. I remember that.
Actually, it's weird. I used to hate those, but I would prefer it to doing a Friday night into a Saturday morning like we just did in Bangkok.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the early morning one because it's quite hard from a nutritionist point of view to plan the meals because it's quite hard to say, right, if you're fighting at 8 o'clock, yeah, you're gonna ideally you want like 3-4 hours for having a big meal. So it's quite hard to say, look, you're gonna have to get up at 4 a.m. to get your porridge down. Yeah, it's quite it's quite hard to balance it from a nutrition standpoint, but I suppose the fitting in with the American time. But we have no kind of issues in terms of energy levels. But in a textbook nutritionist kind of thing, I'd want them to have, a couple of meals throughout the day, a couple of snacks, and when it comes to them fighting on the evening, they're full of energy, full of carbs, ready to go.
Yeah, that must play havoc with you, right?
Yeah, and it's all, like the 8 o'clock weigh-ins too. It's quite hard to. It's not quite hard, but you have to navigate it well. Where I don't typically recommend a real full meal and the 8 p.m. weigh-ins because what ends up happening, a lot of fighters they'll weigh in, oh, I've made weight past hydration, let's just eat a load of food. You have a big meal, it'll sit on you. You don't want to eat anymore, and then you're just lying in bed, just full. And so your refueling strategy is just out the window then. So typically someone weighing in at 8 just introduce like light snacks up until they go to bed and then have like the main meals the following day.
Because I think that happened with Yunus Rabo, right? In February, Bangkok. He
Yeah.
he just ate a load of stuff right after he weighed in and then threw up or something.
And it's the thing is though, this is the thing we're saying to you about you can lead the horse to water. You can say the right thing, this is what you need to do, followed by the and then sometimes fighters just go, fuck this, I've weighed in now, I want to eat. And if you cut a bit of weight and then you're introducing a lot of food into your stomach, that environment in your stomach's just not, it's just a concoction of things. You might be having spices and fiber and protein and fat, and it's just causing havoc in your stomach. And I've seen it so many times where people have come to me and said, Peter, like I didn't follow the refuel plan correctly. I felt bloated, sluggish. Which one of them? I'm sure you'll learn from that.
Yeah, because it affects them in the fight. You saw
Yeah.
against Semapet, he looked awful. He got knocked out in the first round, basically.
I always say the refuel is just as important as what you do on fight week and the weeks previously. You mess up the refuel, you think the job's done because you made the weight. You go and eat what you want. That can literally affect your performance the next day. It really can, and that's one of the most important aspects. What you get in your body after your fight, because if you're eating pizzas and fatty food instead of having good carbohydrates, getting the right amount of liquids in, limiting fat and fiber, so your gut's in a good place and you're not feeling bloated. They're the 1%ers in this game, unfortunately. Someone who's had a really good refuel plan compared to someone who hasn't, they get in the ring, they might have a little bit more of an advantage. Might only be 1, 5, 10%, but that's the difference between winning and losing at this level.
What kind of things do you get people to eat after they weigh in?
So, say someone's weighed in and they've cut 2 kilos, for example. The first priority is getting that fluid back into the body. So it's not food first, it's fluid first. So say you weigh in at 8 o'clock, give the example of the prime range, weighing at 8 o'clock, litre and a half of water and electrolytes to get them fluids and electrolytes back in the body. Then slowly introducing carbohydrate snacks, stuff like Gatorades. I recommend, because you're getting the fluids, but also you're getting the liquid carbs in. Maybe snacking on some like jellies or some fruits, and maybe having something as simple as like a jam sandwich after your weigh-in, and then just slowly introducing it. So maybe 2-3 hours post weigh-in, you're having something a little bit more solid, maybe some cereal, maybe if you wanted to, maybe a chicken rice pasta type dish. Not It's always the fluid over food first if you've cut any weight. If you haven't cut any weight and you've just stepped on the scales and you've been cool, then you may be able to introduce foods quicker. But yeah, the majority of people don't do that. So yeah, it's always food over fluid first, and then just slowly introducing carbohydrates and getting them easy digestible carbohydrates in, because you don't want to be eating a load of potatoes post weighing because you'd feel like absolute shit. So you want to be getting like easy carbs in.
And then on the Friday, if it's a prime card, yeah, what are you telling them to have?
On the Friday, if you want to keep it simple, like 3 meals, 2-3 snacks. So wake up, maybe have some porridge, some juice, maybe some fruit. It's a high carbohydrate meal for your breakfast. Then maybe for your lunch, chicken pasta, chicken rice, and making sure that there's not a lot of vegetables added to the meals. You want to keep the fiber low, keep the fat low too. And then say mid-afternoon, maybe have, once again, something like a jam sandwich or some fruit, a Gatorade, just getting them carbs, refueling with them carbs. Evening meal, pretty similar to lunch, and then maybe some like pre-bed cereal before you go to bed. And that's a good, solid carbohydrate refuel for like the day before you fight in the morning.
So you'll prescribe all of this. You'll make a plan for each fighter, and you get them the food, or you just tell them what to eat.
So it kind of works off where we're at, because I've found when you're like giving something to the absolute T and you're fighting overseas, or you're in one and you're in the hotel, it doesn't really go like that. So you say, right, here's a few options for you to have. This is what I think you should have for your breakfast. These are the kind of options I'd like you to have for your lunch. Here's the kind of options I'd like you to have for your snacks, and kind of going off that. And then a lot of the time it'd be the fighters might send me a menu of the restaurant they're in and go, oh, what do you think of this? And I go, okay, well, maybe like option 2, 3, and 4. They seem like pretty solid options. I'd avoid them ones. But then some fighters like a rigid, 10 o'clock have this, 12 o'clock have this, 2 o'clock have this. Or it depends on the fighter, but yeah, it's just important to keep on top of things. And when I know fighters are quite prone to maybe having a little cheeky snack or a chocolate cake, I'm dropping the message saying, what have you had? Send me what you've had, just to keep on top of things.
Yeah, nightmare viewer with Anatoly Malakin. He loves his chocolate, right?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. If you've weighed in and it's in the evening, I'm not going to tell you can't have a little bit of chocolate, because I'm not a dictated nutritionist. So if you want to have a chocolate bar or an ice cream, by all means, but get the most important things down your first, and then have something like that in moderation. Not going like full cake. A slice is okay, but don't go overboard.
So what is the absolute worst thing you could have after a weigh-in? Pizza, you're saying cake?
Like weighing in and just eating food straight away. If you cut weight and you just go boom, not have any fluids, probably something like a load of potatoes, because you'd feel absolutely shocking. Like just fatty food, a lot of vegetables and fiber, because all that's doing is, as I said, it's just sitting in your gut, and it's just causing a concoction of just shite, and you're just gonna feel horrible.
All right. Well, I could talk all night, but I think we'll leave it there. We've gone over the hour, so where can everyone find you? I think that's the username, isn't it? Condition
Yeah,
dot
Condition
nutrition
Not
on.
Nutrition. That's probably the best place to get in touch with me. On Instagram, always active on Instagram. Yeah. So if anyone needs any advice, any help, just drop me a message.
Yeah, worth a follow, guys. He's always around at the show in fight week, posting good content. Definitely recommend a follow. But thanks for joining me. I'd love to do it again. It's just fascinating, yeah, just to pick
Yeah.
your brains and find out about this side of the fight game we don't normally see up close and personal. Yeah, Peter Miller, everyone. Condition Nutrition. Thank you for coming on.
Pleasure, mate. See you soon.
We'll do it again, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I'll be seeing you in a couple of weeks anyway. I had normal coffees at the
Yeah,
hotel.
yeah. Well, we will hopefully, yes, we'll catch up. Smiller, you got 4 fighters: Smiller, Natalia, and I've already forgotten the other two. Sean, Sean, is it?
Sean. Yeah.
Yes, and Bogdan Shumarov. So busy week as always. It'll be for you, I'm sure. But yeah, everyone seemed to enjoy this episode. A little bit different than what we normally do because not it's been a slow news week. So yeah, everyone's seems to be happy. Fantastic episode, so informative. Says Story of the Fight. I second that. Says Austin. Good to hear about the regiments. Says Al. Yes. Well, I'm glad you all enjoyed it. A little bit different, but definitely go check out Condition Nutrition. Even if you're not a fighter, just it's a nice side you don't normally see. So yeah, informative stuff on there. And yes, this man is responsible for a lot of the biggest names in one championship. So we owe him a lot for helping fighters make weight. And if you're watching and you're a fighter, the best thing you could ever do is sign up with this guy. I've recommended you personally to multiple people,
Thank you,
and
mate.
I wonder maybe some of them even have gone to you after me, but you don't need me. Your work speaks for itself. I think. Yeah,
I'll
your
be
success is.
giving you commission, mate, soon after sort of
One pay you, yeah, you slide me off a little commission, 5%. I don't know. No, it's obviously I want to help you, yeah, and you're a great guy. I love our chats and want to help you succeed, but you don't need me. You're succeeding without me. I love picking your brains. It's great to hear. But anyway, enough of that. We'll catch up, yeah, in Bangkok. But everyone, thanks for watching. I'll see you all again on Wednesday. I'm gonna be back with Kyle and Timothy Wheaton will be joining us. Maybe we'll see if we can get a guest. But see you there, guys. Cheers.